So now we get, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to see you this morning. So we're going to stand and sing a congregational song and really get to put ourselves into
we're going to put ourselves
so
into
wake up.
with some sign language. So we have a few words, and go ahead and stand. And many of you have done this before, but the first word that we'll use as a sign for is love. Just like that. Love. And we'll let the love wash over us. And then we'll let the light wash over us. And then we'll let the peace wash over us. And then we'll let the joy wash over us. I think we let it be.
We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be with the light. We let the light wash over us. We let it be with peace. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be happiness with joy, and we let the joy wash over us. We let it be. Amen. 3 times. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Okay, if you didn't get all of those hand gestures, it took me 2 years. 2 years. And then there's a version where they speed it up.
That's
So-
the other song.
That was really fun. Thank you, guys. So good to have Blaine and Annie here this morning. And I haven't seen Annie for a while, so it's lovely to see you. Conveniently, on the back of your bulletin are announcements. So I don't have to go through all of them. So I'm going to assume that you can probably check those out. But I did want to say, is there anyone here for the first time today? Ah, welcome. So glad that you're here. Did you get a little packet? Well, you're going to get one. And so one of the things that I haven't brought up is that we send out a weekly information, like what's happening and reminders and that sort of thing. And if you would like to receive that and aren't receiving that, just put your name and email in that book on the table in the entryway, or just give me, we have a potluck afterwards or in the library or somewhere, give me your name and email, and we'll make sure that you get it so that you know whatever's happening and classes are happening and when they're happening and all of that. So, all right. And we're having a potluck today afterwards, and there was some really good food down there. So be sure and stay and and if you're here and you would like to get to know other people better, that's an ideal place to do that. One of the things I did want to emphasize always, because we are a praise that practice prayer, and our movement began as a healing movement, back in the 19th century. Yes, 19th century already. Woo! This particular Centers for Spiritual Living emerged as a organizational church in the 20th century, but the New Thought movement came about in the 19th century. And it was a lot to do with healing. And because there weren't a lot of good doctors and hospitals like we have now, people really understood healing. And so prayer has always been the foundation of any New Thought church that you go to. And in front of you are prayer request forms, or in the library is a prayer request form, and there's a box there to put that in, and the ministers and practitioners will pray over those confidential forms for you. And prayer works, you guys. I mean, it's not my day to give a message, so I won't go into that, all my stories about how prayer works, but it really does. So take these home with you. Put on the back of your fridge, and you can see what's happening. And a welcome this morning, and Reverend Moore will be our senior minister, will be delivering the message this morning. And we're going to be talking about happiness this whole month. So, be prepared. And if the sun shines every day, that's going to help too. All right, so Ruth. Welcome, Ruth. Ruth is our practitioner this morning and going to center us in prayer. And I have to tell you, I have known Ruth, gosh, I don't even want to say how many decades, many, many decades. And she is just an awesome, awesome, awesome person and has been in service to spiritual centers for a very long time, and really appreciate you, Ruth. Awesome lady, so.
Well, I guess you all know who I am. But what I do is something else. And as a practitioner, I do pray. I pray affirmatively. And I would like to open our prayer with a bit of information about affirming. Everyone is one. God is everywhere. And love is God. And I know that this time together is extremely important for everyone. Know what is within your heart and share it with everyone. And you will feel the warmth of the love that is sent to you also. I'm grateful that I'm able to be here to speak to today. And know that I do pray throughout the service. It's called the High Watch. And one of the practitioners each Sunday keeps the High Watch. And the High Watch is keeping God amongst us, knowing that all is love, all is good, and all the words spoken today are good. And I release these words, knowing that they are sent immediately to the law of love, which only says yes. So believe that. And so it is. In your program today, I see there is an affirmation. And if you will turn to that and speak it with me. I turn my attention to the joy in my life. I see the awakening of spring color, the playfulness of a child, and feel the warmth of loving companions and the law of attraction multiplies the good in my life. And you'll notice that I have crammed the altar with flowers.
Like everything in this little book on a daily basis, this reading was handed to me on a day when the news of the world was kind of freaking me out. And I am so grateful for these readings, for these thoughts, for these prayers, for this love. Before pain prevails. Adyashanti, pronunciation questionable, writes, a total acceptance of yourself brings about a total transcendence of yourself. And Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, writes, in treatment, we turn entirely away from the condition because as long as we look at it, we cannot overcome it. When challenges hit, a frightening prognosis delivered, an accident happened, a betrayal realized, or a war thrust upon us, this is the time to pray. It is too easy to be caught up in the shock of it all, particularly if the world points you in the direction of a particular action. You must remember to go to God first. Let God be your first choice and action. Listen and look for your guidance because it will always be there. The divine has not abandoned you, though it may seem like it at the time. You always can choose to turn your attention to a higher way of seeing. Remember, no matter what, you always have a choice. When you are unable to lift your head above the fight of despair, this is the time to turn to a spiritual practitioner. This spiritual warrior knows God is there for you. They commit their lives to knowing God no matter what. To have someone speak your name aloud to you, to know your spiritual truth in prayer, is an amazingly transformative experience that reverberates through your body, mind, and soul. To believe someone is praying for you even when you are not present helps activate a healing strength you could not muster otherwise. Life challenges happen, and when they do, remember to pause before the pain prevails and connect with a higher power, turning entirely away from the condition. A simple affirmation for today: I always remember to go to God first.
Sometimes we actually probably hear a lot about, like, what's your purpose? What should my purpose be? And I just want to say this song is about our purpose is simple and how we're called to be. By Faith Rivera will reveal that. I am called to be mother to nurture family. I am called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. I am called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. I am called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you see. You are called to be everything. You are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. We're called to be. We're called to be the kindness, set the broken-hearted free. We're called to be forgiveness, where pain can run so deep. We're called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we see. We are called to be everything. We are called to be. Called to be the beauty here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are one in thee.
We are called to be. We are called to be. Let's sing it.
We are called to be. We are called to be.
We are called to be.
Called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be free, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be free.
We are called to be. We are called to be. We are called to be.
It's that simple.
Good morning. It is a beautiful day, is it not? Yes, it's a day to realize that we are called to be happy of all things. That's what we're going to talk about this morning, is being happy. Do you remember last Sunday at all? Anybody here last Sunday? Yeah, I think there were a few. And we had a wonderful Easter celebration. The little story about the blue truck. Yeah, it was cute, wasn't it? And then that wonderful decoration of the teaching symbol that brought home to us the interior truth that we are always in a creative process, and that creative process is a flowering of life itself. It's the expression of what is within us, and it's the goodness of life. And it's just wonderful, too, this morning that we're blessed by so many who have brought this Sunday together. Blaine and Annie, of course, and Reverend Julie has been the announcer, and golly, I think Cheryl there, and Ruth, our prayer person, and Cheryl, our meditator this morning. They've all contributed to creating the spirit of awareness and happiness and joy that lives in our heart. Let's give them a little hand. If we accept the idea that we can be happy, sometimes we think that our happiness really depends on things. I mean, I can be happy. I call it the myth of if. The myth of if. The myth of if is like this. I'll be happy if I get that new job. I'll be happy if I get married. I'll be happy if someone recognizes me today for something I do. I'll be happy if I make that sale. If I can just make that big sale, my gosh, it'll add to my income, and I'll be really happy. Well, I'll be happy if someone loves me a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Those are all wonderful. They're all good. They're all blessings that come to us. But the real essence of the thing is that we can be happy for no reason at all. What? Happy for no reason at all? How can this be? Well, it's really, in our metaphysical world, pretty straightforward. We are happy simply because we are the presence of the divine in this life. Because we have in us all of the qualities of goodness, the wisdom, the strength, the power, the vitality of spirit itself lives in us. And one of the essential qualities of spirit is joy, right? Joy. And as joy becomes more revealed in our lives, we can be happy. Because that permanent joy translates into an attitude, a living expression of itself. There's probably many ways to approach this, but I think I will go this way. If we are indeed, if we do indeed have the spark of the divine within us, if we are able to really welcome this divine life that we have, it is basically in our essence, our spiritual DNA, if you like, to have this joy. And joy then can cascade out through every aspect of our lives, through the physical, the mental, the spiritual. It's always anchored, this joy, this permanent joy, this permanent happiness is always anchored in the divine. It's always anchored in our awareness of spirit and its life in us. One of the essential qualities of that joy is that it spreads. It wants to express itself. And it does in so many different ways. What we appreciate appreciates. What we value and think about tends to increase in our life. If we form the intention and the awareness that we are in joy, that we can be in joy, then we can increase that happiness that occurs every day in every way. Not only that, it's interesting to know that each of us has a kind of a... have you ever known somebody who's been almost perennially happy? That's just been happy the whole time. Every time you see them, they're happy. I've known one or two people like that. I know one who sits right here that generally speaks and is happy all the time. I remember once a long time ago, I guess I'd say it's a long time ago, here at the church, one of the young people, young man said, "Oh, Reverend Moore, I just enjoy being around you. You're always happy, no matter what." I said, "Oh, really? Well, yeah, I guess I'm pretty happy most of the time." It was a blessing, and I know even Reverend Julie is usually of a pretty happy disposition, cheerful. So there are people who just have a happy mindset, and there's a term in psychology that is used to explain that. It's a set point in happiness. Each of us tends to have a certain level of happiness that if we get down, we come back to it. If we go way up, we come back to it. Real high and real low. Last night, for example, some of you were here in the congregation, attended the Oregon Senators show, youth a cappella show. It was a great show. The kids, I couldn't believe it. Middle schoolers through high schoolers came together and learned a song and did beautifully and sang well with us. And the whole program was just full of life and energy, a high point of happiness, if you will, if you like music at all. It was really great. And, well, this morning I'm still happy, but it tends to, you have high points and sometimes you have low points. Earlier this week, I was suffering from the influence of a cold, and if you've gotten through that, as little as I can, and some other help, I'm back to normal. So the point being, this set point is a psychological phenomenon that tends to increase. But what we want to be able to realize is that, according to studies and research, about 50% of your happiness set point is genetic, and about 50%, give or take a little, is learned behavior. And so it's obvious that we can change our learned behavior because we learned it in the first place, so we can increase it. But it's also possible to increase the genetic component. Now, you might think that's a little strange. After all, we're born with DNA and all that sort of thing. But there's a part of science called epigenetics that allows that our positive intentions and thoughts and desires can actually create chemicals within us that affect which part of our DNA is stimulated. And this will actually be able to change the expression of what's built into us. And so we can increase both sides of our happiness set point by taking intentional action and by doing things that increase our happiness. Happiness comes in so many varieties. I couldn't begin to list them all, but I think it's a question of, I don't know, I'll just go to the most fundamental point in the first 3 chapters of a book that we're using to, we're drawing on for our topics for this month. It's called Happy for No Reason, 7 Steps to Being Happy from the Inside Out. Now, that's what I tried to talk about so far. The inside out, the spiritual side, that is our real source of happiness. And in this book, the author, Marcy Shimoff, has done some research. And she determined that she wanted to interview the 100 happiest persons she could find. And she did that over a period of decades. And she came to realize there are certain mental habits and physical habits that foster happiness, that bring happiness to realization. And throughout the month, we'll go through some of them. But we're going to look at a couple really basic, fundamental ones. One of the principles that she mentions, there are 3 guiding principles, is that what expands you makes you feel happy. What expands you? I have a little experiment for you. Sit up straight, please, right now. Feet on the floor. Take a breath. Okay. Now raise your arms. Put a smile on your face. And a deep breath. Oh, does that feel expansive? Does that feel good? Feel alive? Oh, yeah. Now, if you will, bring your arms down. Crunch all together. Oh, put a frown on your face. Oh, that doesn't feel very good to me. I feel cramped. I feel not expansive at all. Expansion makes you feel better. Whether it's a form of exercise or it's a form of mentally recalling the people that you love and in your heart and you want to expand your consciousness of that it makes you happier. It's just simple. And if you want, if you should desire or find yourself feeling cramped and constricted by events in life, then you realize that there are some things you can do to fix that. That's just one little simple exercise out of the book. There are many in there. Leading to that point of resetting our happiness set point, bringing it up by raising our consciousness generally, there's a way of looking at it that expresses, how do I want to say that? That expresses the energy that is in everything. We most of us, I think, will agree that everything is some form of energy. If our quantum physicists tell us that energy is what we started with the Big Bang and all that, and it's everything that is some form of energy in expression. And that energy can be accessed at all times. We want to take that energy, access that energy, and realize that we can do what is seemingly difficult, and that is to really be happy most all the time. Now, the first and most fundamental principle, the pillar, the foundation of a happy house, mental house, is taking ownership of your own happiness. That's what makes it happen. All the rest falls out of that, in a sense. It's a primary principle. Take ownership of your happiness. Now, these folks she studied, who developed happy habits in life, all found that true, but there's kind of like two things. The truly happy generally choose their experiences. They come to places like this and receive happy thoughts and supportive thoughts, and they do things that create supportive experiences in life, like good relationships and the ability to care for oneself. But sometimes in life, that things happen that don't reflect happiness. They don't express happiness. And those things are impinged upon us, we might say. They come from the external part of life. They don't come from the internal, so it seems. And at that point, we always have the power of choice. We have the power of choice to decide what it is this means to us. I can think of many instances. Are you familiar with Viktor Frankl? Viktor Frankl, the meaning of life, is his book on meaning, gave a description of the experience he had in several. Actually, he was in 4 different Nazi concentration camps during World War II, and he noted that there were men. He was in the men's side of the thing. There were men who would actually give away the last piece of bread to help someone else survive. And he mentioned that sometimes it comes down to, it's the choice you have to make to accept what is happening, but know that it is the freedom within you to choose how you respond. And he found that he was able to respond by choosing kindness and consideration, not only to his fellow prisoners, but even to the guards that were. This was his response, which allowed him to be in a mental state of happiness, even in that situation. So there's things that happen in life that can be shocking and hard, but we have the power within us to access the divine within, the divine joy that lives in our hearts. I'd like to give a little personal story. It may be a little shocking. I was down in southern Oregon, just east of Klamath Falls, up in the hills, near Camp Lake. And I was called to be there because my dad was running a business, and his business was repossessing cars. That's what he did for a living. Yeah, he did. And he asked me if I would help him. I said, well, sure, I'll be glad. I was a young college student and out of school in the summertime, and I said, well, I'll make a few bucks and go to a place that I've never been before. Why not? I'll help him. So he said, okay, this fellow here hasn't been paying his bills, and the bank is contacted him numerous times. They want his car back. I said, okay, I'll go down, give it a shot. So I get there. I ask at the country store, little convenience stores, but not much of a town out that way. I just said, where would I find this address? And they gave me the directions, and I headed off. And I found the place, and I went up to the house, and a woman answers his door. I presume it's his wife. I say, I'm here to repossess your car. And she's not too happy about that. Okay. But I understand. And she said, well, wait a minute. And so she went back in the house. And I think she called her husband. Because I was standing there at the edge of the driveway. Oh, I had a tow truck with me, and a driver. And I was just standing there. And all of a sudden, I see this cloud of dust coming down the road, just coming out, and just, whoa, what is this? And then into the driveway, he stops, and he gets out of the car, and he pulls out his rifle. And he says, nobody's taken my car today. Whoa. Yeah. I was not expecting that. And then my tow truck driver, he says, if that's all right, I've got a shotgun in here. We'll take care of that. No, I said, no. Nobody's going to die or get injured over a car today. It's just not worth it, folks. It really isn't. So I came to that sudden realization, I've got to do something here. And so I said, now let's put down the guns and talk, okay? We can talk about this. We don't have to be violent. And so the gentleman did put, I believe his name is John, if I remember right, did put his rifle away and allowed that we could go in the house and talk. And we called the bank and made arrangements. And the bank accepted a payment, a fairly good amount of money, $500 or something. And he promised to be up to date. And we kind of shook hands in the end and said, thank you. We went on our way. Well, that was pretty shocking for me, but it was an interesting example. I think that there's always a resource. We can always draw on our connection with the divine to bring out what can become actually joyful, even though it is life-threatening at a point. And that's just one of the taking responsibility for our own happiness. I have another story I'd like to share with you. This is a story about my wife, Vicki. Most all of you have met Vicki. She's wonderful, I think. I hope you share that opinion. And she, about 3 years ago or so, she was on a mission for the Greek Orthodox Church, of which she's a member, and they went to Africa. They went to an area around in Kenya, and met with the Archbishop and so forth and whatever. They did a lot of things. But in this particular story, there is a school to help local people to gain skills and be cared for. She noticed sitting over on a bench under a tree, a really beautiful young woman. So she looked kind of sad. So she went over. And she sat down by her and asked her, is there anything I could do to help? We want to talk? And she found out that this individual, this young lady, had been a high-end prostitute in Nairobi. She lived a fine life. Swimming pools, hotels, parties, anything you wanted. Then she became pregnant. She fell off the A-list, so to speak. She went back to her village. There was not much there. Very little was there. So she came to the school. And she didn't know what she wanted to do. Now, my wife was and her compatriots were teaching self-esteem. And one of the things that the young lady picked up was, she had always been fascinated with being a cosmetologist, where you do the nails and the hair and all that, and she wanted to go to school. So she did. And my wife and she have been in contact ever since. And now she has a son, and she is at the point where she wants to start her own studio for doing nails. She wants to limit nails at first and maybe then do hair. And it takes a certain amount of money to do that. She has it, basically. Guess who? Vicky's heart goes out to her to support her and offers we also found, or Vicky and the young lady also found a person to kind of be the dispenser of the money, that would go out so that it went to the right purposes. The head mistress of the school, Virginia, and would do that, and so transfer money to her, and it goes to her obtaining the shop and setting up her own business. Now, to me, this is an example of you take responsibility for your own happiness, but in doing so you can bring happiness and joy to other people. Just by doing what your heart calls you to do, by being sensitive and aware that there is a life larger than yours. And this is a really good example, too, of how the universe, Ernest Holmes in his Science of Mind text says that if something is needed, and you need it even in the darkest Africa, it'll come to you. Well, it's kind of all around that if you have something you need in your darkest Africa, the goodness, the support of the universe bring to you what you need, as it does for this young lady now. There's one more story. It's a little bit of a long story, but I'll shorten it up a tad. It's a story that comes from the book that we are looking at for our inspiration this month. This is Ariel's story. It's called A New Vision. I'm going to read some from it because her words are pretty strong. Let this go up. It doesn't have to, I guess. Stand up here. It was June of 1988, the end of just another day. This is Ariel speaking. I had just finished my shift as a pediatric nurse and was on my way home. So I stopped at the corner drugstore to get some over-the-counter eye drops. When I got home, the first thing I did was put the drops in my eyes. Immediately, I felt a searing pain and could barely see. I was still in my nurse's uniform when I rushed to the emergency room, where they did everything they could to help me, but with no success. The eye drops had been tampered with, laced with lye, and within an hour of putting them in my eyes, I was blind. For months, Ariel lay around, complaining, feeling badly abused, not able to sleep very well, migraines caused by the eye problems. Before the tragedy, Ariel had been an intensely sightful person. Besides being a nurse, she was an artist, a jeweler, a photographer, and a pilot even. She loved astronomy. She had been an athletic and outdoors person. And she relates. From the time I was 5, my grandfather and I would often go birding together. This highly visual activity of scanning a landscape for signs of bird life and then noting a bird's markings, plumage, and bill shape to identify the species had heightened my power of observation, as well as my sense of connection to the natural world. Almost a year passed. Oh, she was still in misery and suffering. And she says, I ask myself, what is the quality of my life? I was wallowing in my misery, slipping further each day into a dark hole inside of me that was far worse than the absence of sight. I projected out for the next 20 to 30 years. Is this what I want? Her spirit rebelled, and she felt the first burst of energy she had any interest in life to revive within her. Okay, she said, I want my life back. I thought, what can I do now? Now, I recalled that all the blind people I'd seen, I had a guide dog and a cane. I've always been a dog person, so the choice was obvious for me. I wanted a guide dog. For the first time in months, she was really coming alive and beginning to feel she had a purpose and a direction. Fumbling around, she found a phone number and she was able to call guide dogs for the blind. And they told me, she said, I have to master the basic living skills before I could get a dog. I had another goal. That was good. Over the next several months, she went through the program. And it was difficult at times. It had been so much easier just to lie around and feel sorry for herself. Though this scary process was actually exhilarating. And she put it this way, bubbles of hope began to well up in me. The bubble became a balloon inside my chest the very first time I met my guide dog. With Webster at my side, I was able to take a walk at a fairly fast clip. Over time, I began to hike. Then one day, I was hiking with my husband in Tucson, and I heard a bird singing. Oh, do you hear the bird? Can you see its wings? My husband located the bird and told me the color. Excited, I began peppering him with questions. Does it have black bars across the tail? Is it about this big? Equally excited, my husband described the bird to me, and yes, it has a white throat, and its beak is shaped like this. He gave me all the details. I was giddy. Oh, it's a canyon wren. We laughed at our newfound bird watching technique. For the rest of the hike between the two of us, me hearing the birds, my husband giving me the visuals, and then my doing the identification, I was able to experience a joy I thought had been lost forever. In fact, this new form of bird watching was even more enjoyable because I could share it with my husband in this wonderfully cooperative way. She goes on to say, before I lost my sight, I considered myself a fairly happy person. Yet today I am happier and more empowered than I was before, on a more consistent basis and from a more meaning-filled space. There is a deep sense of contentment and peace in my life now. For although I lost my sight, my vision has become greater. Things happen. Not all of them happen. Most of them are, I think, for most of us. But this story is just one of many in the book that we're using this month. It illustrates the fundamental truth underlying the remaining steps to uncovering what she calls happiness, the author calls happiness within. We become and we are change agents to ourselves, taking full responsibility for handling our issues that come up in life and its challenges. This is a particular example of what we talked about at Easter, that creative process that we teach, taking responsibility to plant the seed of happiness in our hearts and minds and let it manifest in our lives. When we stop the blame game, refuse to complain, and when we step up to claim our responsibility, we tap into a source of joy that is both external, internal, eternal, both eternal and internal. It is a divine quality that is always available in our highest self. We just need to turn within and access it. We'll receive more hints on how to do this throughout the month. In today's lesson, we've got at least a couple. We will discover more. For I know and I believe that each one of you is a creative power in the divine mind. in the divine mind expressing in this world. And then as we enter into the full strength of who we are and what we want to be and become, no matter what stage in life we're in, whether we're young and just going into careers, when we're reaching the end of, might be a career or a life change, it doesn't matter. The insight is there, the power is there, the life is there, the love is there, and it's there for you. The whole universe will support you in your life as it does even now. Think of all the goodness that you enjoy just being here. You're healthy enough to be here. You had transportation, you have a place to go, you have a home, you have people that love you, and people you love. Why don't we just be happy about that? That's our lesson for today.
We got potluck.
Yay!
Well, as Reverend Moore was saying, life can be hard. When I first came to New Thought, I was struggling trying to figure out New Thought as opposed to the Christianity I was raised on. And so I wrote this song called Dancing with the Spirit. Dancing is a metaphor. So whatever makes you happy or gets you out of your doldrums, I almost said dum-dums, gets you out of your doldrums, try it. I could make of my life heartache healing to wholeness. One tiny cell at a time, healing old wounds and purging pain and fear. And of course, the masks. Don't forget the masks. To hold us, so much growth to be won. So a smile, shrug, and kick off my shoes, and let the dancer come to call. Now I'm dancing with the spirit,
There you go.
spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, and joy is mine. Joy is mine.
Hey!
I can make of my life a manger. Let a baby Jesus be born. Let spirit grow and innocence reign, where light and power and miracles dwell. Where love and I see all humanity is one, and we all share the earth. Don't forget Mother Earth.
Yes.
And when my Pharisees come and ask me, who do I think I am? Well, I'd smile, shrug, give him a hug, let the dancer come to call. Now I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit, God is joy, believe we're all perfect spirit. We've just taken human form. So I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, joy is mine. Let's sing it. Yeah, I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, God is love, and God is mine all the time. That was refreshing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a good refresher. Thank you, Blaine. And so I'm just going to invite everyone to this part of our service where we get to share our gifts, our love. And I would invite you to repeat the offertory affirmation with me and really look at those words. Divine love moving in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
There is an eternal givingness of spirit that simply flows through life. It flows to us, and in the abundance of joy and the abundance of happiness and the abundance of chances to express ourselves in life. It comes to us in so many good ways. We just give thanks for it all because life itself is a precious gift. And our ability to choose happiness is always with us. So let us truly be happy as we say together, and so it is. Next we have our prayer of protection. The words are in the program. If you'd like to stand for that, you can. It's here somewhere. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let's join hands together and sing our closing song, Let there be peace on earth, and the words are again in the program.
The peace that was meant to be with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be my moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. If there is peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning as she calls to me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Riding down that road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, Lord, take me home. Country roads, just take me home. Country roads.